You know, lots of people are out there buying houses right now, and lots of people are just trying to find the right one and get there before the next person. But if you're not really ready to buy a house, or maybe you've had something happen with a foreclosure or short sale and it just isn't working, maybe you don't know the neighborhood you want to live in. I don't know. There's lots of reasons people don't buy houses and they rent. But there's a lot of people need to actually do to prepare for renting, and a lot of people don't know there's actually help to help you make a decision. Kind of like in New York, you know, you get when you're leasing a condo, there's actually people who will show you around. Nicole Zaffarano joined as a resident sales and leasing agent with Ewing and Clark, who specializes in helping people actually relocating to Seattle to really find the perfect house to suit their needs, whether it is a lease or a purchase. So you kind of, well, first of all, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's nice to see you.
Nice to see you. It's been a long time.
It has. But, you know, I don't think a lot of people understand that you can do both, right? I mean, people know they have the choice, but people don't maybe always consider the fact that there might be a professional who can help them either, hey, we can look at these options to lease if you're not ready, or we can look at these options to buy and have somebody in their corner as their advocate really the whole time.
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't know. You know, they think there's only people that can help them buy. And so if you're renting, you'd go to Craigslist or, you know, something like that. And I'm here to help people rent. And a lot of these, you know, I think it's funny you mentioned Craigslist, because I think that's where everybody goes for rentals. It's amazing. Yes.
And I don't know if people go anywhere else.
Well, Craigslist is number one. I don't go to Craigslist.
You don't?
Because it's usually things that are on there are owners put them on themselves. Mm-hmm. And I work with agents.
Got it. So what do you do as a leasing agent? Because you're not representing maybe like the for rent by the owners. You're actually in a little bit maybe with professional management groups and things of that nature.
Yeah. So basically, a leasing agent is exactly the same as any other selling agent. We are licensed real estate agents, and basically what we try to do is take your extra time off of your hands. You know, if you're working an 8-10 hour day, and you know, last thing you want to do is come home and work, you know, 2 to 3 hours on Craigslist searching for your home. Also, there's a lot of competition right now, so it's good to have somebody on your side negotiating for you. And
let's talk about that for a quick second, because you say there's a lot of competition. It sounds like if you don't have a place to live, you are having a tough time right now if you need to find a new place.
Yes, this is correct. I mean, people are looking 2 to 3 months out, you know, because they know things are going. You know, if it's in the right place, East Side especially, Madison Park, Madrona, those kind of nicer areas, things are on the market 5 hours before there's multiple applications on there.
And you say multiple applications for a rental, which is kind of like multiple offers, because you were saying how all this is actually negotiable.
Yep.
You don't just pay the rent that you might pay more, you might pay less.
Yep.
It just kind of depends on what you want to offer.
Yeah, some people come in at offer more. Some people will say, I'll take a 2 to 3 year lease versus a 1 year lease, and the owner has to do what's best for them.
So where are people coming from? You said you're doing a lot of relocation. Is this people who are coming to work in Seattle?
Yeah, it's amazing. Probably 17 out of my 19 rental clients are from out of state. Right now? Right now. Mm-hmm. Wow. Which is smart for them to rent. You know, they're coming into an area that they don't know. So it's important to spend a year or so in an area and make sure that that's where you'd want to buy. Well, not only that, but I mean, some of these people have some serious sticker shock when they see the prices in Seattle versus maybe the Midwest. Yes, huge sticker price. I was actually surprised. I spoke with somebody from New York, and she was a little bit sticker shocked, and I thought that was funny considering coming from a place that, you know. Like the most expensive place in the world. Exactly. Yeah, well, maybe she was looking at nicer, bigger places. Who knows where she lived over there? This is true. So when people start, what are some of the biggest questions, you know, people who are relocating here ask you? What they can get for their money. You know, they don't realize that, you know, a budget of unfortunately $1,150, which is a lot of money to rent, doesn't get you very much. Maybe a 1-bedroom, half bath. Half bath, studio, Murphy bed. So is that, I mean, that becomes, it's kind of the number one trigger, huh? It's that price per month. It's the price, yeah. A lot of people don't want to dump a bunch of money into rent because they want to buy eventually, and they don't want their money monthly just to go to nowhere, to nothing. So they usually have a lot less, but they end up spending more.
What about neighborhoods? I mean, has that become a big thing for people who are relocating?
Yes, it's huge. There's a lot of research that people do prior. So the higher end areas, schools are very important for their kids. School districts. Bellevue School District is probably the number one district that people want to be in, which is making inventory low both for leasing and buying.
It sounds to me that it's almost as if they're going to buy. I mean, the amount of the different aspects of a house, whether it's price or school district, commute, traffic. I mean, it's pretty much the same because a lot of these people who are renting now are much more informed than maybe, who maybe would have owned had the crash not happened. And it seems like there's more families renting now than maybe had in the past.
Yeah, I think people have been burned. People are gun shy about, buying because they've heard of the horror stories. But I do pretty much exactly what I would do if I was selling somebody a house on the leasing side.
Almost the exact same process.
Exact same process. And people are just as picky with rentals as they are with buying.
What's the pickiest thing you've seen?
Paint color, which is funny to me because it's a can of paint and a couple brushes and maybe a few hours. You could change that. So.
Yeah, of course, if it's okay in your lease.
If it's okay in the lease, usually we can negotiate that.
You'd be like, okay, I will lease this, but I am painting that wall.
Yeah, and it's amazing. Some people put their houses on the market with Winnie the Pooh on the walls and expect it to rent that way. So.
Do you think people, if you're going to rent, almost need to prepare it as if they're going to sell?
Yes. The one things I probably wouldn't suggest doing is, replacing all the floors, putting in higher end floors, because it is a rental. But it really just depends on the shape of your house. I think it's important that your house looks like it was never really lived in. That's what you would want to move into, something that, is cleaned and just really doesn't look like it's ever been lived in.
It would seem like that would be that hotel feel when you walk in, or when it's very inviting.
Yes, exactly. So new paint is always, a great thing to do.
So do you tell people that this is, I mean, I know it's a lot of relocation. It's kind of testing out a neighborhood too?
Yes, it's very much just testing out a neighborhood. And I think it's smart. I don't know if I was to move somewhere else that I would buy right away, especially with, everybody that's gotten burned and, like I said earlier, the horror stories that is also making people very, very gun shy.
Yeah, and I guess even though people are moving to Seattle, they don't necessarily understand the Seattle real estate market. Maybe they don't know the job situation, but we have seen it's pretty strong.
Yes, it's very strong. It's amazing how many people are moving to Seattle. It really is on a daily basis. Yeah,
well, I'm happy to have them as long as they don't do dumb things.
Yeah.
Then I'm
You'd be surprised.
I know there's crazies out there, right, Nicole? We're here with Nicole Zaffarano with Ewing and Clark, and Nicole, we just have about a minute left before we have to go to break. What would you say would be the biggest benefit of using a leasing agent?
I think it's basically to take away all that extra time that you would spend looking. We don't charge you anything, so we're there to be your advocate. We're there to be your negotiator. It looks a lot better to a owner that, this person is represented by a real estate agent. So there's it's the market's crazy right now. So every little extra thing you can do helps tremendously.
And I would think even putting together something like a lease.
Yeah, absolutely. The contracts, you never know what contracts can say. I've seen some pretty outrageous things. So it's nice to know that we know our contracts and we know what you're signing. That
seems like that would be a good thing.
It's a very good
because
thing.
We all know what happens when people don't know what they're signing.
Yes,
then
you can't use
then
your
they blame
hot
the
tub.
person who handed them the piece of paper.
Exactly.
Because they didn't read it. Nicole, thanks so much for joining us again.
Thank
Nicole
you.
Zaffarano with Ewing and Clark Residential Leasing Specialist. When we come back, if you're not thinking about leasing, well, like we talked about earlier, you might be thinking about buying. And everybody's heard the horror stories about trying to get mortgages, but there are some things that you